Welcome to the Swim Swam podcast. I'm today's host, Coleman Hodges, and joining us today, he's the 2025 NCAA champion in the 200 breast. We have Indiana fifth year, Jassen Yep. Jassen, thanks so much for joining us. How's it going?
Hello, yeah, it's good. It's good to be on here. Thank you for having me.
This episode of the Swim Swam podcast is sponsored by Commit Swimming, Swim Swam's exclusive team management software partner. Since 2015, Commit has been providing coaches with swimming's leading workout management software. And now, Commit has team management software too. Commit wants to help you make the switch from Team Unify to a simpler, more powerful solution. Their onboarding and customer service team will walk you through every step of the way. Check them out at commitswimming.com to book your demo today. That's COMMIT swimming.com. You've been having a moment, certainly. I think your story was one of the coolest ones at these NCAA championships, and certainly it's been fun to hear more and more about your story and about your journey at Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to start with a piece of news that you dropped after the NCAAs. You went into that meet thinking it was your last meet,
Right.
and now you've sat with it a little bit, and you think you're going to continue swimming. Tell me a little bit about that decision and what you're looking for moving forward.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it was definitely like I was ready to be done. I think doing the fifth year, it's a qualitatively very different experience. And I had a lot of fun coming back. But at the same time, I was like, yeah, I think it's time to wrap it up. And then I think just obviously with the swim being um, that what it was like, it was totally unexpected, um, and I kind of thought about it like the next few days, um, and talked with like my club coach. I talked with Ray and the coaches here as well. Um, but I think the biggest thing holding me back was just like I'm doing grad school right now. I'm finishing up my master's, and I've been kind of putting off a lot of that work um, until after NCs. Um, and I talked with Ray, and we kind of figured out a schedule where I should be able to do that, like get that finished up, but also be able to like swim and then come for the summer. And I think it's just um, talking with my coaches and stuff. It's just a really good opportunity this summer to make a team, especially just being like a post-Olympic year. Um, and I think with that, and then just working things out with Ray, that's kind of the big push towards like continuing swimming. And I think for the long term, I'm kind of leaving it up in the air. Um, I kind of said on I think Social Kick Pod that like I said I was done senior. I didn't think about coming back originally. I said I was done senior year, and then I came back for a fifth year, and then I said I was done after NCs, and now I'm back. So if I say I'm like, I think I'll just leave things up in the air this time. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I think as fans, we always want to know. We
Yeah.
want solid answers, and it's like, what's next? Tell us. But I think,
Yeah.
personally, that seems like a great way to carry yourself and great
Yeah.
way to leave things moving forward, because you don't know what could happen. You don't know if you could become an
Yeah.
NCAA champion, or, this summer make a
Yeah. Yeah.
team. But I'm sure I know a lot of swimming fans were bummed to hear that after NCAAs you were planning on being done, and so now I'm
Mhm.
sure they're very excited to to now hear that you'll be back and you'll be competing in long
Yeah.
course.
Yeah. That's good to hear. Yeah. I mean, no, definitely. I think going in, like, it's just still a lot to process right now. So, like, talking about the future is like it's still a little too soon, but definitely going through the summer, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Uh,
What are you getting your master's in, and what more do you have to finish up and kind of balance with that swim training that you're now going to be taking on as well?
yeah, I'm doing my master's in sociology, and the thing is, I'm doing like a 4+1 program, so it's like accelerated. Um, I kind of started spring of last year, but even then, it kind of compressed the courses. So I was doing, I think most of my classmates are doing like three substantive courses. I'm doing like four, um, and it's just like a lot of readings each week. And on top of that, I have to be doing like my master's thesis, which takes the most time. And then um, this semester, each of my classes have like different like final papers and stuff on top of that, which just I think yeah they take up time, but we're making it work.
Yeah. What that's so interesting, sociology. What do
Hmm.
you hope to do with that, or what just intrigued you about sociology?
Yeah, I think it's less what I wanted to do. I still don't really know. I don't have a grand plan with all that, but it's more of just like how sociology teaches you to think. Um, and like we call it like the sociological imagination, kind of seeing things from a wider perspective. Um, and I just when I took my first sociology class, I just really enjoyed that like type of thinking, thinking about like people and the environment and how that all interacts. And so I think that's what interests me the most about sociology.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it would be very interesting. I don't feel
Hmm.
like I end up encountering a lot of people who major in sociology, so that's cool to
Yeah.
hear. How has this accelerated 4+1 program just been for you so far? What have you thought of it?
Yeah, like I said earlier, it's a lot of work,
Mhm.
especially on top of swimming. But it's been a really good experience. Like I think meeting more people who are like interested in sociology, like everyone in the masters. Well, everyone else is getting their PhDs because they typically don't offer like a terminal masters. So because I was like within IU, there's that like opportunity to do the 4+1.
Hmm.
And um, yeah, no, just meeting people that like had had a lot of passion for what they were doing as well, and kind of going more in depth on the kind of sociological topics that I'm interested in. Yeah, I think it's been a good experience. And then, I mean, obviously, it kind of gave me something to do while I was back for my fifth year, um, and it just made the whole thing really worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, on that note, I thought it was a very interesting analysis from you just a few minutes ago. The
Hmm.
fifth year was a very qualitatively different experience than the other
Yeah.
4
Yeah.
years, and yeah, I think that hearing it makes a little bit of sense to me because you think of your
Hmm.
traditional college 4 years. Seniors usually play some sort of leadership role, and there's also a sense of
Hmm.
finality with that senior
Right.
season. And as you mentioned, you thought you were going to be done after that senior season, but what inspired you to come back for that fifth year? And then again, how was it different than those other 4 years qualitatively, as you mentioned?
Yeah, I think as to what inspired me, it was really, I think in the fall of senior year, I was just having a lot of fun training, and I think that's a really good place to be in, right? Like if you can enjoy the training, it really it makes it easy to swim. And we were having a lot of fun. And then on top of that, my one of my professors was talking to me about the 4+1, and things just kind of ended up lining up. Like I kind of had it in the back of my mind for a bit, and then kind of ended up like working out. Um, and so I was like, yeah, I could get a master's in another year and also like swim for another year. Um, and that was just kind of why I ended up taking the fifth year.
Mhm.
Also, my longtime roommate Tomer Frankel, um, we kind of made this decision in parallel, so it was really good to just be like, yeah, like we're both coming back, we're living together again, and we have like another year where we can just, you know, have fun with each other and swim fast. And as to I think the qualitative experience, um, we had a pretty big like class coming in as freshmen. I think like with guys and girls, almost like 15. There were like almost 15 of us. And I remember watching them give their senior speeches at their bank at like what was supposed to be our senior banquet. And I was like, wow, like 4 years has passed already and they're going to be gone and we're still going to be here. So it's kind of that feeling of like, you know, a lot of people that I came in with that they've kind of like moved on and they're doing other stuff. And obviously we still have friends on the team and yeah, but it's just different being like, yeah, people that we came in with, like it was always like comforting in a way, I guess, to be like, oh yeah, they're around deck and you know, they were like, especially our class, I think we came in with COVID and so it
Mhm.
was a pretty tight class. And so to have them gone, it was like, yeah, even though there are, you know, a lot of other people, a lot of other friends on the team, it was still kind of like, wow, like my original class is gone. And that kind of shapes like the rest of the year, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine. Um, and it does seem like, again, this kind of odd experience, and it is
Hmm.
sort of a one-off that we
Yeah.
now, I'm guessing, won't see as much of, obviously, because of there was that, COVID fifth years. Uh,
Hmm.
but I think we're all glad that you decided to take that fifth year. Um, so
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
to now back it up to you
Hmm.
coming into Indiana, because this was such a big part of the narrative behind your NCAA title was,
Hmm.
you, in high school, your best time in the 200 breast was 157.4. Um, I know you've probably told this story about a dozen times at this point, but can you just tell us what the recruiting process was like for you in high school and how you
Hmm.
did end up coming to Indiana or choosing Indiana as a high school senior?
Yeah, sure. Wow, that was a long time ago. Um, I think, let's see, when the recruiting process, like when I think my year was the only year where it started like fall of junior year,
Mm,
because before that it was like seniors, like started your senior year, and then the year after us it started like summer of sophomore year. Um,
right.
but I just remember, yeah, I just remember when that started. Um, so I swam on the same club as like Ethan who's at Stanford,
Mhm.
couple other guys who also swam in college. But I just remember I didn't really get too many messages, um, but I like reached out, and the big one, I mean, there were a couple schools that reached out here and there, like in the next couple months. Um, and I was talking to them, and then I went 157 at sectionals in March of my junior year. And then IU kind of reached out to Coach Abby, my club coach, and was like, "Oh, like we'd like to talk with him," and kind of got going from there. And yeah, I just kind of want to address like, uh, I know there's a lot of talk about like me being a walk on, but I did get some scholarship from IU. Like it wasn't a lot, but I did get a little bit of scholarship. So technically, not a walk on. But I think, yeah, I mean, the recruiting process, it was like, I don't know, like a lot of talking with coaches, and I didn't fully know what I wanted at the time. But I remember the biggest thing that drew me to Indiana was that I had a meeting with Ray, I think at Palo Alto for like junior nationals or nationals, and he told me sitting there, he was like, if you come to IU, like you're a good student, so the pool will be your hardest classroom. And I was like, yeah, I guess I realized like, yeah, that's what I want. Like, you know, I just want to challenge myself like as much as I can. So that's why I ended up coming to IU.
That is fascinating. And I really like that quote from Coach Ray. The pool will be your hardest classroom.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so then, going into that, coming into Indiana as a freshman, I'm
Hmm.
looking at your time progression. We wrote an article about that through your college
Hmm.
career. Your best time from freshman season, and obviously you swim more events than 200 breast. This is just what I've pulled up in front of me.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was 158.5. So tell me
Hmm.
about, did you feel like that rang true specifically in your freshman season, that the pool was your hardest classroom?
Oh yeah, it was a huge adjustment. I mean, uh, I thought we did pretty hard workouts in club. I mean, yeah, they're pretty tough, but here it's just a lot of volume. Especially doing twice a week, just 6.5K of breaststroke practice. It's a lot. I think it takes time to get used to. So yeah, I mean, I was swimming like okay in dual meets my freshman year, but then yeah, coming to conference, didn't perform well at all. And yeah, I think it took time to really adapt to the training. Um, I think I said in my interview with you at NC's, like I would just watch like Lily and Cody all the time. And when we were doing the pulleys, and I think really it wasn't till my junior year when we were like when we do pulleys and we watch ourselves on the TVs. I think
Hmm.
it was my junior year when it was the first time that I heard Ray be like good job, instead of being like, oh, you need to work on this or that. And I was like, wow, like I made it. So, I mean, there's a lot like technically, but also just, I mean, swimming that much, it's mentally challenging. No matter how long you do it, I think. Uh, Obviously, it gets easier over time, but yeah, it was a lot to adjust to my first year here.
Yeah. What do you feel like was the biggest hurdle you overcame, or just adjustment that you were able
Hmm.
to make in terms of the, uh, getting used to the training and the volume?
I think probably the biggest adjustment, um, honestly, just getting like stronger and older helped. Like I mean it sounds kind of lame, I guess, but like I'd never done weights coming in, and then
Hmm.
also just yeah, that sheer amount of volume. It's a lot to handle, and I think I've seen it with more people than just me on the team where they kind of struggle a little more like freshman year. But then as they get used to the program, they really like start to take off sophomore year. Um, so I think like yeah, there's kind of no huge secret. It just takes time. Sometimes you just have to put in the work.
Yeah, I Indiana is one of the programs I think I have personally observed and filmed the most, and
Hmm.
it is not an easy program. And I know a lot of
Yeah,
college, I mean, every college does hard work, but Ray makes sure that you're aware of the work, the hard work you're
yeah.
doing, I think.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I would think that, yeah, it just takes time to adjust to.
Hmm.
You've mentioned it a couple times now, but you coach Abby at Peak in high school.
Hmm.
What was swimming under Abby at Peak like as a high school swimmer?
Hmm. Um, yeah, Abby was a very tough coach too. Very technically focused, I think. And so I mean, we did do for what I thought like was a lot of volume at the time. Um, like early, yeah, like I thought it was a lot of volume at the time, but compared to, I mean, even compared to here, it was a little less, but very like technically focused. I remember she would just make us breathe. Like we would have to breathe like every three in freestyle in practice. And she'd always keep an eye out for like technique, um, a lot of like drilling, but also just a lot of, it was kind of like, I think Abby likes to describe it as like 4 a.m. based work. So you just
Mm.
try to be more well-rounded in your strokes. And even then, I think, I mean, my backstroke was always my weakest. It's still my weakest link in my IM, for example. Um, but I think we would always like try to focus, like we'd do a lot of every stroke throughout the week. Um, but I think just coming here, like it took time to develop my backstroke. I think even till this year, like it was like still like getting to figure that backstroke out. But um, yeah, no, it was a hard group to train in. But it was also a good group. We had, I think, like Ethan, like I mentioned, who went
Mhm.
to Stanford. We had Andy, he went to Columbia, but he was like a 4,800 backstroker. Um, a lot of other guys. We had a lot of breaststrokers on our club, um, which is really funny because then I came here where we also have a lot of breaststrokers. It just seemed like everyone could do breaststroke on Abby's club. Uh, but yeah, no, it was a hard team to train under, I think, but in a good way, in a good way.
Yeah. Is there a specific set that Abby was known for, or that stands out to you
Mhm.
from a high schooler from your time training with Peak?
Ooh, Abby had her test sets that she loved to do. I
Hmm.
think um, the one that was always the worst that we just walked in, we'd all be like, "Oh my God!" Is she would give us 6 4 IMs best average, I think on like 5:30 or 6 minutes around that range. Um, and I think that one was because we did it so often, kind of like the one that everyone kind of was like collectively dreading. Um, but I think honestly the hardest one that I done in club was this one from, I was actually talking about it this morning with a couple of the guys during breakfast, but this was from Chris Scott, who is our like junior, so it was like elite and then junior elite, and he was our junior elite coach. Um, and it was like 475s freestyle on like 130 best average, and then 4 150s, 75 breast, 75 free on 3 minutes best average, and then 4 225s on 430 like back breast free, and then 4 3s IM on 6 minutes best average. And I think what made it hard was um, I was I was like going pretty fast on the freestyle, but then I tried to hold what I did for the freestyle in the freestyle leg of the breaststroke, like of the
Yeah.
150s, and then I tried to hold what I held for the 150s within the 225. And then yeah, the 225s within the 300. And by the end, I was like, I mean, like I don't think I've ever thrown up in practice, but that was definitely the closest I've gotten. I was like I could barely breathe. Um, but but then after that, Chris named the set after me. So, well, I think Peaks dissolved now, but he would call it the Yep set, and they would do it, and every time they'd let me know, I was like, oh yeah,
I think that's how you know you've made it, if you get a set named after you.
yeah, yeah. No, that was like a just on our club, but it
Yeah.
was a good
Hey,
one.
swimming infamy. Yeah. I that's I hope that inspires some listeners or someone else to do it. I like that set. I wouldn't want to do it.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's really hard if you try to hold pace throughout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can imagine. Um All right, so that was peak swimming. That was
Mhm.
your formative years.
Yeah, yeah.
And then as we spoke about, Indiana freshman year, big transition. Um,
Mhm.
and then yeah, where your sophomore year, uh, again looking at these best times, you go from 158, best time of 157 to
Mhm.
153.8, which
Yeah.
seems like a huge jump. Do you feel like you were making huge strides in the pool that year?
Um, I think I kind of saw it in practice even freshman year, like slowly the pace would get more and more consistent, but I think it just took time for that 153 to show. But yeah, I mean, I definitely noticed like coming in, I think hitting under 30s pace was like I was not consistent with that at all.
Mm.
Um, I'd definitely be going like 29s, 29 high, 30s, like even normally, and then trying to kind of get that down to like 29, you know, consistently 29s, 29 lows, and then like moving into the 28s. Um, I think that was kind of, yeah, like it got more consistent, but it was kind of showing signs like even throughout my freshman year. Um, but again, yeah, I think it really just took time to like really show in a race.
Yeah. And speaking of races, I mean, the training is obviously one aspect of it, but
Hmm.
as I feel like putting it together, when it counts, during a race is kind of
Hmm.
another aspect of it. I know at Indiana, you guys, suit up and race pretty regularly, but how do you feel like that aspect of your swimming developed as well? Just the racing part of it.
Um, yeah, I think yeah, like you said, we do a lot of suiting up every Wednesday. Um, lactate or well, there's a lactate group, so I kind of move between 4IM group and that throughout the year. Uh, but it's great to just have people like Max Reish, one of my former roommates, and Josh. I'd say we kind of came up through it together. And so we would always be racing in lactate, be racing even in practice, obviously. Um, but gaining that experience, especially knowing Josh was like, I mean, he was coming in as like he was on the junior worlds team. He was like 208. And so it was great to just know like, yeah, like you're racing him, you're racing one of the best every day.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it built a lot of confidence. Um, and yeah, confidence is also, I think, one of those things you just kind of have to work for and experience, like by yourself almost. But it helped to just to know like, oh yeah, I'm racing like Josh, or like Max, who is also, I mean, he was a great long course two breaststroker. Like I think he was 210. Just to always be like, yeah, like, you know, these are some of the best breaststrokers out there. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, a lot of confidence.
Yeah. Um, and so as you, I guess, moved through your time at IU, do after freshman year, or maybe even including freshman year, do you feel like your path was linear? Because again, I can look at times
Hmm.
or like your progression and be like, wow, you improved every single year after that freshman season, and again that adjustment period. But from your perspective, do you feel like it kind of just kept going like this, or was it a little more peaks and valleys?
Um, yeah, definitely. I think there were some really rough meets, but those are usually like dual meets. At the big meets, I did I was kind of in shock because like each kind of tapered meet, I would just drop a little more and drop a little more. Um, and honestly, like this year, I was kind of waiting for that plateau, you know. So to just keep dropping was pretty crazy. Um, yeah, no, I definitely think it almost did feel kind of linear. which is a very interesting college experience, I guess, because you tend like I would expect that like, oh yeah, you know, you kind of get to senior year, like even like the fifth year, and you know that's you kind of hit what you hit, but clearly like there's more left. So
Mhm.
yeah.
What, I guess, you mentioned senior year, you started like really
Hmm.
having fun in training. Um,
Hmm.
was it easy for you to keep setting goals for yourself or finding motivation within your swimming, even as you said, you kind of were to a point where you might not expect to keep improving or keep being as interested in the sport as you were?
I think in terms of the goal setting, to hit on that first, I'm not a huge like times oriented guy. Like
Mhm.
I do kind of set goals with Ray at the start of the year. Um, but in general, like when I'm practicing, when I'm racing, I tend to just focus on, you know, that practice, that race, like the technique or like in the race, like being in the moment, which I think kind of was my biggest takeaway from NCs this year.
Mhm.
Um, but in terms of having fun, yeah, I think it's sort of up and down. And I think that's just kind of life, you know. Um, it was really like just to shout out Toby Barnett in our on our team. He came in and he just started being like, all right, in an IM practice, he'd be like, okay, like let's do six kicks off each wall here, like every wall, you know, no matter what. And I'd be like, okay, let's do it. And then the next practice, like, all right, now like let's try seven, or like, you know, at the end of a 2 IM fast, like, okay, let's go like 15 off this last wall here. Um, and just being open to that challenge would be like it would really like leaning into the challenge, I think really made it fun instead of, you know, kind of being like, oh yeah, this practice is hard and like, you know, I just have to get through it. But it was like, okay, like this practice is hard. Like, how do I find ways to get better and to have fun while pushing myself? Yeah.
That that's great to hear. And again, it makes a lot more sense when you put it like that of you're
Hmm.
keeping things new, you're keeping things fresh,
Yeah.
and you have
Yeah. Yeah.
teammates who are just like, well, let's do this, just so
Exactly.
that we're
Yeah.
not doing the same thing every time.
Hmm.
Uh, okay, I'm starting to get the picture a little more here. So during this fifth year, you've kind of talked about how it was a little different than senior year, but
Hmm.
just in terms of swimming, did you feel that improvement curve? I mean, throughout the season, did you feel like, oh yeah, like I think I am getting better than Caesar senior season. Like I think I could
Hmm.
go faster than I ever have before.
Um, this kind of sound kind of weird, but actually, I thought senior year I had some of like the best, like most consistent training. I
Mm.
think this year I had a lot of good practices, but I also had a lot of like really bad practices. I mean, there were a couple of days where I was like literally swimming with the girls, and I was like, oh my God, like what's going on? But I think it also I like put on like 5 pounds over the summer, and I was lifting more and lifting heavier, so I think that might have been part of it. Um, but I think every now and then I would kind of see flashes of like, oh yeah, like this can be a good year. But no, there were definitely a lot of pretty bad practices. I think as my roommate Tomer, he likes to say, you got to swim slow to swim fast. So certainly did a lot of that this year.
Hey, fair enough. I mean, it seemed to work, whatever
Yeah,
you did
yeah,
this year. um,
yeah.
I so, so I at in November, Indiana had a dual meet with
Hmm.
Texas,
Hmm.
and I got to cover that dual meet. It was a very fast dual meet,
Hmm.
and at the end of it, Ray said something that I think stuck with the team through the rest of the season, which I didn't really
Uh,
expect it to. And he said, I think the
yeah,
quote was, "You can only go to the well so many times."
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
tell me, I'm just curious why that resonated with the team, because
Hmm.
it seemed to be a theme. I saw it pop up a couple times throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, yeah. No, that I think um no, Texas was just a really electric dual meet. I think it fired a lot of the team up, and you know, we were kind of talking with the Texas guys, and not to like diminish. I mean, they swam really well at that meet, but um, we I think we were kind of hearing like, oh, like maybe they rested like
Mhm.
for so long, and we were like, oh, like and to hear Ray kind of say that, we're like, yeah, like we just kind of took it and ran with it. And yeah, I mean, during Big Tens, you could see like when we all like jumped in the well afterwards, we, we kind of planned out a little skit where Matt stopped us and was like, wait, like you can only go to the well so many times. It was kind of like, I don't know, just having fun with something Ray said. I think it was just like a really funny, I mean, kind of iconic quote, and it's kind of it does represent our program though. Like we do really build up throughout the year, um, and gear up towards NCs. So like on a serious note, that's kind of what our program does, and you kind of see it where like we swim well at Big Tens, but we really do like have our best meet at NCs overall. Um, so I think people we kind of took it to heart, and I mean, I had some fun with it in the meantime too.
And these are the things in swimming that I love to see, just
Hmm.
because it I saw the what you're talking about at Big Tens, and I thought it was
Yeah.
hilarious. But I also, you could also see that how Indiana moved throughout the season.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of teams in college swimming have adopted, certainly Bob Bowman led teams at this point have
Hmm.
adopted kind of like swimming fast all year. And,
Right.
if that works for them, they obviously have success with it. But Indiana has
Hmm.
also obviously seen success with this method of kind of building throughout the season and then really focusing on
Right.
that NCAAs. And I also think it made the, in the NCAA meet and the team competition even more fun, knowing
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Indiana and Cal specifically were heading into this
Hmm.
meet with a lot more to put on the table than we had seen from them this season.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just kind of different coaching philosophies.
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, at least with the way, like the season is structured right now, it works both ways. I mean, Bob, a lot of respect to Bob. I mean, he knows what he's doing, but at the same time, they do get faster through the year. Like you don't see Hubie going 133 at our Texas dual meet. Um, but yeah, no, I mean everyone does want to be on at NCs. It's just how you get there. There's I guess a lot of different paths.
Yeah. So speaking of being on at NCAAs, I feel like
Hmm.
there's certainly a physical component to it, but also just probably an experience component and a mental and emotional component. How do you feel
Yeah.
like you were able to handle and approach NCAAs this year, just with the experience you had racked up in the past from being at this competition? I think the last 2 years.
Hmm. Yeah, I think the first year at NCs, it was really just. I mean, I was kind of just like there as a spectator almost. I swam twice in the morning, and that was kind of about it. But I remember being told by Rafa, or one of our freestylers, he was like, "Yeah, like NC's like that's a meet that'll like mentally destroy you, going into that first one." And I was like, "Ah, like sure, yeah." And getting there, you really experience it. I mean, it's such an intense meet, um, and there's really no substitute for just like being there, experiencing it. Um, and gaining experience. And then I think last year, I mean, I was next to Leon in finals, and so I knew like after that morning swim, I knew like okay, I have to like stay in my own lane. I have to not look at him and just swim my own race. And no matter what, I would just take a stroke and I could see him out the corner of my eye. And I think that's kind of what inspired me this year to just like, yeah, I'm closing my eyes on every turn.
Mm,
But I think, like having those 2 years and then last year, especially making that A final, being more familiar with like that feeling. But then also incorporating like I said, like I think one of my biggest takeaways this year was just being able to swim kind of free and like lighthearted and enjoying it,
mm,
having the mindset of like, yeah, this is it. At the time, this is it. And I'm gonna have fun with it and kind of, I mean, we have a huge like parent student section that showed up at NCs this year, and looking up to them in the stands and looking at the team, it was like, okay, like I'm gonna swim like to have fun, to enjoy it, and also to make them proud and do it for them. But I think that's something that, yeah, it does take experience. Like it's not something you can walk into your first NCs. I mean, maybe you can, but it's pretty hard to walk into your first NCs and have that mindset. It does take time and experience to develop.
yeah, I would, and obviously there are some people who have a lot of success at their first NCAAs, but I
Yeah,
think for the vast majority of athletes, yeah,
yeah,
it's not the
exactly.
easiest meet to operate under or
Yeah,
at.
yeah.
Um, I you've mentioned IM training several times. I
Hmm.
had no idea you went 142.5 in the 200 IM.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
were half a second away from scoring it
Hmm.
in your third event. How did you feel about that 200 IM and just kind of getting the ball rolling at this NCAAs?
Yeah, I think I didn't I like had kind of struggled with my IM. I mean, I was 144 last year. But then like coming into Big Tens even like um I remember I just did a stinger a couple days before the meet, and it was like a 50 fly, 25 back, and I think John had me at like 34 or something, and I was like, okay, like wow. And then swimming in the morning, dropped, and then swimming at night, and then went like just under 143. And um I think that was like a big confidence boost, kind of like I think I kind of figured out how to swim it finally. I feel like I say that every now and then. I'm like, yeah, I figured it out. Like with my IM, but then I drop a little more. I think that was like my backstroke really clicked a lot more, and the like taking out the fly fast but like easy. It kind of like I think I figured out how to do it a little better. And then yeah, and then in the morning at NCs, well, I just remember doing this again, going back to that stinger, like doing the stinger at NCs. I think I was about the same, maybe a little faster than what I went at Big Tens, but I also felt like a little smoother and more powerful. And I was like, okay, like this can be a good 2 IM. Um, and yeah, dropping that another like half second at NCs, I was like in a morning swim, like I was super happy with it. Um, I think it was a big confidence boost just to be like, yeah, I dropped in my IM, like I think it's going to be a good meet. And walking into the rest of the meet with that, like, into my two main events with that knowledge, it was like pretty comforting to be like, okay, like, you know, I'm here, like I showed up.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's it seems like a pretty great note to start the meet on, and then
Yeah.
to go into that next day of competition and have
Hmm.
be next to five other guys from your team who have the potential of scoring in the same event.
Yeah.
Tell me about the ethos of that race and what you got from the 100 breast.
Yeah, wow, that it was so crazy behind the blocks. I just remember I was sitting there a couple heats before me and just seeing oh yeah, here's like two IU guys, and then the next heat, oh yeah, here's two more IU guys, and then my heat, and it was like, I mean, it's always good to have people behind the blocks. Even better if there are people on your team. And I mean, it was just a lot of fun for me, just to know that like the whole team, not the whole team, the whole like there's a big breaststroke squad there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I know there was a lot of talk of maybe going like five or six up, six, six.
Yeah.
Um, but um, but I think, I mean, it was a very, very competitive NCs.
Yeah.
Um, and we all swam like pretty well overall, I would say. Um, and at night, that was a lot of fun, just being in a final next to everybody. Um, like I think it was me, Brian, Luke, and Josh, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I mean, like beforehand, it's you just kind of like standing back there in the ready area and just like, oh yeah, these are like people I train with. Um, and just go out there and have fun. And I think that's kind of the attitude I took from it, at least.
I so wanted to see another 6 up in a single event, and, you guys had ended up 6 in the top 15, 5 in the top 11. I mean, that's
Hmm.
that is really a fantastic finish overall, and, I don't think anyone can deny at this moment that Indiana is breaststroke U, because of that.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, just again, not only having all that competition and getting to race with all your teammates, but going 50.8, winning the
Yeah.
B final. How do you feel
Yeah.
like that set you up for the next day in the 200 breast?
Yeah. I think my 100, I mean, my 200 is always obviously my main event. And I think my goal coming in this season like was about 50.9. Like I just wanted to be under that 50 point or 51 mark. And it felt like a pretty controlled swim overall. Um, and I don't know, I didn't really in the moment connect that to my two breasts. I was just kind of like, okay, this is like a good race. I was very happy with it. Um, and I, yeah, I think for me, kind of warming down and letting that be, and then trying to move on to getting ready for the next morning. That's typically what I like to do. So I didn't think about it too much in respect to my two breasts, honestly.
Yeah, fair enough. Uh, and then just after prelims of the 200 breast, you go
Hmm.
149.3, big best
Yeah.
time. Your second seed,
Hmm.
with again with respect to have being next to Leon last year and really trying to
Hmm.
focus on your own race plan in your own lane. Um,
Yeah.
did you have how did that afternoon go for you, knowing that you were in a position
Hmm.
to potentially win an NCAA title?
Um, yeah, I think the morning swim, I really didn't want to say it like after the morning swim, but it felt very controlled. Like I think it was really until only like the last like 25 that I picked it up a little more. So I didn't want to say it because it's kind of like superstition of like, oh, I don't want to jinx it, and maybe it's just like it felt easy, and then I'll go slower at night. Um, but yeah, I think up to that point, I hadn't really thought about like placing or anything. But after that, so I was like, okay, like maybe I have a shot, and kind of let myself live with that like thought for a little bit. But also after like warming down, getting a massage, going back to the hotel, really trying not to think about that, not to dwell on that, and just be more like just trying to unwind, get a good nap, go through my routine rather than really fixate on it. And I
Mhm.
think if you don't mind me, I can grab my journal, and I was actually journaling about my like kind of mindset before. I'll be right back. Yeah, I said just to take a little clip from it. Let's see. I have peace in my heart with whatever happens. I won't lie and say I don't want to win. I really, really, really do. But I am accepting I may not, and I will race with joy like I did this morning. And no matter what, I'll be happy with my results. With a little smiley face over here. And so it was literally like we had our team meeting, came back, and I was just kind of rolling out in the hotel, waiting to leave. And I just had that thought, wrote it down. Um, really try not to focus on an end result or anything, but just like enjoying the process. Because I kind of knew that would be the last race, or at the time I was like, yeah, this is like my last race, so I just want to have fun with it. And I think that paid off.
Is journaling something that you do regularly, or is a part of your routine for competitions or practice or just life?
I think just life. Yeah, I started journaling maybe over a year ago. And I think it's good just to like put down some thoughts, but also just be like, oh, here's what I did today.
Mhm.
It's been a little irregular recently, like this semester's because I've been busy, but I do think it helps to sit down and put down what I'm thinking. Um, and yeah, I mean, going back to read it sometimes it's nice too. So I think journaling is a really good practice.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, I try to be as regular about it as I can
Yeah.
as well. Because again, it's
Hmm.
just a good way to gather your thoughts, to record your
Yeah.
thoughts, to look back and be like, sometimes I make myself laugh because I'll read what I said and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm so smart. Like, wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Or
it's
even
a
just be like, or even just like, oh yeah, like what would like past me think about me like right now? You know? Yeah.
exactly.
Sometimes you just it's good to read them.
Yeah. No. Yeah, agreed. So that's cool to know, cool to hear. And then yeah, again, you've been able to sit with it for a couple weeks now, but has being an NCAA champion felt any different, or how is it feeling, today?
Um, I think still it's kind of setting in. Um, but I mean in the end it's just yeah, it's like I did it, it happened. I'm the same person. Um, my teammates love to remind me sometimes, but it's just funny. But no, I mean like I'm the same guy. I think that mindset is what helps me. I was kind of to throw it back to like this fall, I think walking in being like, oh, like how's it like I was like an A finalist, um like I have to like make it back this year, whatever. It wasn't good for me. Um like mentally, I would just like if I struggled in practice, it'd be like, oh my God, like, I'm getting beat by everybody and taking that off my shoulders. I kind of had like a mindset shift in like January probably. Um, taking that off my shoulders is really just like, you know, just be free to do whatever. Um, be free to swim fast, swim slow. Um, I think I'm just trying to use that same mindset um, with this. Yeah.
Yeah. That I mean, and speaking of your teammates, how is it now being back in training with after you had thought you wouldn't be?
Yeah. Um, no, it's good to be back. I mean, I've just been doing a lot of aerobic stuff and it's good to be back with the team. It's very different because I think our team was like a pretty old team, like in terms of like like a lot of fifth year seniors, and so a lot of them are done now. Um, so I mean, it's a little emptier around the pool deck. Um, and some of the same feeling of like what I said earlier with like my class leaving, and now it's like some of the seniors are maybe done. Um, but no, it's good to be back. I just remember like Mira after like or while we were tapering, he was kind of like, "Oh, like, are you gonna be back for Worlds?" I was like, "No," and he was like, what if you go 148?" And Casper was nearby. He's like, "Oh, if you go 148, you have to come back." I was like, like I'll think about it. But no, just being back, like it's great. Like it's it's always hard to come back from a big meet where you're sore and everything, but being around the team, I mean, it's still a lot of fun. So uh, enjoying it a lot right now. Yeah.
That's great to hear. Uh, and finally, I have to ask you about your dress wear. Um,
hmm
so you collect vintage suits. Tell me how this hobby matriculated for you and
Yeah, yeah.
what it's been like so far.
No, it's a funny story. I let's see. I used to kind of just dress like with whatever athletic gear we got from IU to like class or whatever. I remember one day Tomer was just like Jason, we're dressing nice for class. I was like, okay. I started like I pulled out like my old like khakis or jeans or whatever. But since then, I think I just started getting into it, watching some YouTube videos, and there's this Twitter account, Die Workwear. Shout out. No, he is like a million followers. He's doing fine. But just kind of following that, um, it kind of sparked my interest. Um, I think the first piece of like clothing that I really got was I was watching a video about like old hunting jackets, like wool hunting jackets, and I started looking on eBay, and I saw this like bright red one. Usually they're like flannel, and I was like, oh, like I really want this bright red hunting jacket, but that was like a more expensive one, and so I kind of sat around for like half a year just browsing eBay every now and then, and then eventually I found one for pretty cheap, and I still wear it now, like in the winter. No, but I think it's just kind of like I started paying more attention to it, and I discovered that I really liked it. Um, Started going to like Goodwill and finding stuff. That was kind of like the origin. Um, and now I'm doing a little more on eBay. But this one is actually from our Goodwill here in Bloomington. Um, this is probably my favorite piece of clothing. It's like a Italian. It's not. This is not vintage, but it's an Italian, uh, like also bespoke, um, like tweed sports coat. And I absolutely love this. It's so beautiful. I'd love to just wear it. Um, like if I have an excuse to wear it, I'll wear it. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I just kind of got into it, and then it spiraled from there.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how many suits do you have?
I have this one. Well, I got, let's see. I have this, oh no, you're getting me into this. This is like a
Let's
gray,
get into it.
okay, this is like a Perkins Shearer. I mean, they don't even exist anymore. This is off eBay. I got it for a friend's wedding this fall, so I got it this summer. Um, so this is my real, only like, only real, like, full suit, like with the pants and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have, oh, well, I guess I have my, yeah, the black tux that I wore. Um, couple other, couple other like sport coats or blazers, but really this is my favorite one.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I mean, just kind of getting into it. I don't need too much right now. It can be a really expensive hobby if I want it to be. Um, but for now I'm trying to keep a smaller closet. Yeah, especially in college.
Yeah, makes sense. I'm
Yeah,
sure, yeah, I'm sure closet space isn't huge, and I'm sure your wallet isn't either. And I can
yeah,
imagine that can get very expensive very quickly.
yeah. I mean, if you start getting like handmade stuff, it can go into like thousands for a suit. And no, I'm just here like collecting off of eBay and whatnot. Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun, especially to me. I moved to New York about a year ago,
Hmm.
and I love thrifting and
Yeah,
the
yeah,
clothes. I've spent more money in the last year than I have, my entire life on clothes, just because you find so much cool stuff, and you're like, well,
yeah,
obviously I'm
yeah,
gonna get this.
yeah, yeah. And I kind of justify to myself because I really didn't get clothes like freshman through junior year, just because we had like athletic wear and I had kind of some stuff from home. But I was like, yeah, I haven't bought clothes in a while, and especially if I mean, this was like $7 at Goodwill, and it's like, yeah, obviously I'm gonna do it.
Wow.
This was a crazy, crazy find. But some of the more expensive items, I kind of like wait around and really debate if I want to do it. So it's not easy decision, but I think Matt King kind of encourages me. He's like, yeah, you should do it, just do it. Um, so
That's
I mean,
awesome.
especially stuff that you'll wear like for the rest of your life, or at least for a long time. It's kind of worth it. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and especially that's the great thing about stores like Goodwill. It's like
yeah,
you
yeah,
can you can get some really good finds, and they're, yeah,
exactly.
never very
Yeah,
expensive.
yeah, yeah.
Cool. Well, Jason, just to wrap things up, you're back in the pool. You're shooting for
Hmm.
long course.
Yeah.
Just what is your relationship like with long course, especially compared to yards, and what excites
Hmm.
you about moving forward in swimming?
Yeah, um I think Abby will probably say that I'm a better long course swimmer. I don't know what Ray would say, honestly. I think he'd say I'm pretty good at both. Um, but I think honestly, just like growing up swimming yards, like the two breast yards, I kind of know it like the back of my hand.
Mhm.
The two breast long course, I find a little more challenging. Um, but I think my stroke is geared to long course. Like, I mean, we do a lot of technical training, and I think I do have that like, yeah, aerobic capacity and stuff for long course. Let's see, I think I've been 211 or 210. I think 211, but I don't know. We'll just see what happens this summer. It could be exciting if the short course translates over. Yeah.
Mhm. Did you swim in Olympic trials last year?
Yeah, yeah. I made semis, but I think I added at night. I was like 213 and didn't
Okay,
make finals. So,
gotcha.
yeah.
What did you swim there? Just 100 and 200 breast?
Uh I think so. No, I think I did 2 IM as well.
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, just because it's such a unique experience and it's so close to
Hmm.
Bloomington, like, just what was that experience like, in a football field in
Yeah.
basically a home court?
Yeah, no, that was so cool. It was a really awesome experience. I mean, we go up to Indy, the Nat a lot for like other meets, especially in the summer. But I mean, wow, like seeing Lucas Oil being like converted into like a swimming arena and walking out every night and just seeing like the whole like audience stands just full of people. That was very cool. Um, and we had a big crew there. Um, so it was a lot of fun just to like be with the team. I mean, I think trials it's a little more individual than like NCs or like college meets, just because there's a lot more heats of everything, and you kind of like swim your event, try to grab a meal, and try to go back to the hotel when you can. Um, I think you see a little less of the team, but it's still a lot of fun. It was very crazy to be able to swim in that pool in that environment. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a wild meet. And I think just Olympic trials period is a
yeah,
very unique and stressful meet.
yeah, yeah. No,
But
it's a lot of tension, I think. Yeah.
absolutely. Um, but hopefully that, having that experience bodes well for you moving into this long course season. Trials are at
Hmm.
Indy at the
Yeah,
Nat.
yeah, yeah. Beautiful pool. It's a good
Yeah.
time there always. Yeah.
um, yeah. Well, Jason, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and chat about your whole swimming experience from start to finish,
Uh-huh.
essentially. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it, and I hope everything goes well for you moving forward.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
You've been listening to the Swim Swam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take Swim Swam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.